You just missed a ka-ching. That was almost perfect timing. What have we sold?
Oh, the offer.
Oh, it's the offer I sent out. Hello, everybody. I'll take this off. Actually, it's rather. I'm going to get too hot.
I've got the warmest jumper on ever.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Our first stream of the year. It's already the 5th. How was it the 5th? Anyway, welcome.
It's already started zooming by.
It's already started flying. Yes, it's an old age thing, right? Although look how young and fresh I'm looking. Beard gone. New year, new start. Welcome to this thing we do on a Sunday. Hope you are well. We wanted to talk about eBay's kind of New Year updates, focusing on a couple of specific points that I think are going to be the main focus of this. I've seen some chatter on the internet. Some people are getting a little bit hot under the collar about one of these. And we'll talk about that. Hopefully you've seen them already. If not, we can talk you through. I've just been printing off some of the FAQs about these specific updates we're going to talk about. But quickly, whilst people are joining us, I see we have 167 of you. So Happy New Year, everybody. We'll quickly say a few hellos and then we will begin. Ian was first in. Greetings, everyone, on this cold and miserable evening. Well, hopefully we'll cheer you up a bit. I'm not sure. Well, it's not that this is bad news. It's just interesting what eBay's doing.
Quite a lot of people have got snow. We didn't. Well, we got a dusting of it, and that was it.
We have family in Leeds. There's plenty up there. Yeah. Yes, welcome, Ian. Leanne, good to see you. Flipping Maggie, feeling the cold. It is cold here. We've got the heating on at the moment. We're going to put the log burner on shortly after this.
Yeah.
Hello, Tamara. You're feeling quite low about the changes. Well,
really?
We'll get into it.
Okay.
It is a very business and private, it's creating divides.
But I don't.
Which.
I'm being a bit previous here, but I don't think that was their intention. I think the intention was to level the playing field for the business sellers. I think that was the intention.
We'll get into that.
Yeah.
It's a mixed bag of stuff. James, Happy New Year. Yes, Happy New Year to you. Chilly, Scotland, I'll bet. Evening all, we had snow, yeah.
Yeah,
melted.
It was gone pretty much. I took Ellen to work this morning and it was, you could just see it like a dusting and that was it.
Elaine, welcome. And Mark, Anastasia, what a lovely name. Pete is in. Hi, Pete. Right, so a few more and then we will crack on. Like I said, I've printed off. I've tried to digest a lot of it, but there's quite a lot to it. So we will talk about it. I think other people have made a few videos. You may have seen them. Hopefully we won't be repeating too much. I'll be interested to hear what people think once we get into it. So welcome, everybody. We've got Porky's with us. We've got Phil.
You just highlighted Jessica, so hello, Jessica.
Hi, Jessica, sorry. And Anne.
And Babs.
Lots of people. Chris, hi.
Yes, and here we are, and weekly update.
Do you want to do a Ross update?
Hi, Nick and Andrea. Happy New Year. Car boot yesterday, spent only £26, got multiple items. 2 items that were £1 each are listed at £50 about each. Also had quite possibly the most WTF thing said by a seller. Oh, I want to know now.
Oh, he's always a tease. He's always a tease. Sounds like some good purchases, though. I'm itching to go outsourcing now, but we don't need to go sourcing. We've got some stuff to sell.
No, we're kind of on a sourcing ban, but Nick's already talking about going to a jumble sale, and I'm just going to have to try and be very good and look, but not buy, unless it's something on my bucket list.
When has that ever happened?
Unless it's something on my bucket list or it's something that is so good, I can't leave it behind.
Everyone watching's going, that's not going to happen.
I'm on a mission to clear the stock in my stock room.
We're going to hopefully do a video. We're going to do our yearly stock take. We don't normally make a video about it, but I think I'm going to try and track that and find out how many of our listed items have fallen off eBay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, welcome. I'm trying to get down to the end. Welcome, everybody. Lots of people saying Happy New Year. Same to you.
Oh, hang on. What's
What?
that? Warhammer board games sell £20 on eBay. Asked how much. Seller said £20. I said no thanks. On £20 on eBay. Offered £10. The seller said 20. I said no, not at 20 on eBay. He said I could buy at 20. Well, good luck to him.
No, you know.
Good luck to him. Oh, said, I think we've got the third instalment. Said no fees, but I'm a business seller. But even as private, why would I spend £20 to sell for £20 and do all the work? I laughed my head off at the seller. Yeah.
My little Betsy is 5, says Natalie. Happy birthday to Betsy.
Happy birthday, Betsy. I imagine Betsy will be in bed, but happy birthday, Betsy.
Built a snowman. Right, okay. People are chiming in on, what's going on and why we can talk about that. I think they're trying to attract the novice casual sellers. Are they though? They're not making it any easier for private novice sellers.
The changes for private sellers, I would say, are more, they would put people off more than anything else. I don't know. What's Joe saying? Seen some magic turnover numbers from YouTube sellers this year. Sadly, the costs and bottom line shrinks away and really shows one day I won't be a millionaire.
I've always said turnover doesn't tell you anything unless you know the costs involved.
We don't have any magic turnover numbers.
Well, we don't share them because I think it's irrelevant unless you're going to go into all of your costs and then your bottom line, and then you might as well just say I earn exactly this a month, and that fluctuates anyway. It's like we just show the process, right? But I agree. Just waffling on about turnover numbers is just showing off, and it doesn't actually tell you anything about profit. Anyway, that's a whole other discussion.
Lainey knows me well. She says, which will be everything you see, Andrea.
Right. So the two things we're going to discuss in a little bit of depth that we wanted to focus in on are the buyer protection fee.
See, I told you that somebody would make a comment.
Who is that young chap on my screen? Very tidy. Yes. This is today's beard shave and hair trim. It's kind of what I normally do, and then I let it grow back. Ever repeating cycle. So yes, we're going to discuss the buyer protection fee, which is eBay's first step to buyer facing fees, the Vinted model, as it's often called now. Which has come in only for private sellers, which in my opinion kind of confuses things, but we'll talk about how they're going to implement that. The other one I particularly want to focus on, which I think might be misguided, you can give me your opinion, is private sellers only being paid out when tracking shows delivery. So you've got to rely on the Royal Mail to do their job properly, or whoever you're using. And we all know that doesn't always work out. So
was there anything in there that said that there might be some way around that? Or
yes and no.
Because there is the question, isn't there? What happens if an item doesn't get scanned at the other end?
I can get onto that because they do clarify that somewhat.
Tamara says simple postage plus no fees makes it sound like they're telling us how easy it is. Of course, there's nothing simple about it.
I agree that they are trying to, make themselves from the outside look like a quick, simple thing, which is what we've all been kind of asking for. Simplify.
Exactly.
But now they've kind of got very different experience for private to business, and now perhaps a more complicated experience as a buyer, because you've now you pay an extra fee when you're buying from a private seller. You don't pay that when you're buying from a business seller. I don't know. It's the first step. And as we were saying last year when changes started happening, this is the first of many. as they try and switch things up and change how they're doing things.
So Dig Vintage says private sellers are not what eBay wants. No financial incentive at zero fees and danger of poor customer experience.
I would be inclined to agree with you to a
Yeah.
certain extent. That's an interesting comment.
I think, yeah, I think that definitely if private sellers are, private sellers, let's put this into context. What eBay perceive as a private seller is somebody who's clearing out their house, or having to clear out their clothes, clearing their kids' toys, that kind of thing. That's what they're perceiving a private seller to be. And they want to offer free fees to try and bring people back to the platform because there's so much competition. It obviously isn't making the money. So that is why the buyer protection fee is coming in, because obviously they need to make money somewhere. So it passes the cost to the buyer. But this isn't a new thing, because it's exactly what Vinted do.
Also, I think there's a difference in perception of what private seller means. Private seller does not mean somebody buying and selling part-time. That is still a business seller.
Yeah.
If you are buying to sell, you are acting as a business, and you always have been. The definition has never changed. But I think within our community, certainly, there's people who think, because I only do this on the side of my real job, I'm a private seller. You're not. You're a business acting on a private account. So I think there's some confusion around the definition.
And when we say that, let's just put this right here, because we're not an anti-private seller who.
No, you do.
We're not anti people running a business on a private account. We're not anti that at all. We champion people using eBay and making some extra money. We're not anti anybody. But
there is a distinction.
But we're just
what's business activity.
We're just saying it as it is, really.
Yeah.
But no sort of hate towards private sellers whatsoever.
Yeah, from our point of view, it's not a them and us. But eBay are definitely, with certain decisions, they're not creating a them and us. They're creating a distinction to the point where, in their FAQs, it shows how to tell when you're buying from a business or a private seller. They're making that clearer on the site, making it very clear, private, business, and making the distinction real. I
honestly think that for a business seller who is, well, for most business sellers, to be honest, but certainly for business sellers who it's their full-time job, I think that's a good thing, because we said when the free fees came in, and a lot of business sellers were very disgruntled by it, we said at the time that we didn't feel like it was a level playing field. And now it looks like they're trying to implement things to make it fairer for business sellers.
Yeah. And when we say business sellers, that's not people doing it full-time as a job. It's people buying in order to sell.
Yes.
Covers everybody, no matter how much of it you're doing. That, I think, gets lost sometimes in translation.
So
anyway, go on. Do you want?
You just jumped to the. I don't know.
Yeah, I wanted to be at the bottom so we can see what's coming in.
Oh, I see. Well, right.
So, should we talk about what's actually happening?
I think we might have missed quite a few comments then. That's Flipping Retro said, I think this new fee will stop private sellers listing lower value items.
It could easily, yes.
All right. Lee says, if not tracked, then it's 14 days after the order date. Now, that is similar to Vintage, isn't it?
We can get into that.
Oh, or dispatch date. They're giving us something we already had for ages.
Buyer protection.
Yeah.
Effectively, yes. But it's what they're saying is it's what we pay for with our fees that we pay as a business. And now private sellers get those luxuries of protections, but the buyer's paying for it. Right? That's my take on it.
Let's call it what it is. It's basically eBay needing to get some of their fee money back.
There's that.
So they've got to get it from somewhere. So they see that Vinted are doing that, and so it works. It works for Vinted. Why shouldn't it work for eBay in that way?
Or as Husty's opinion is, once again, eBay telling you they're giving you something when you either had it already or you're not getting it at all.
Yeah. So what's Ross saying?
We need to cover what we're actually talking
Okay.
about in a minute, so people that haven't read the updates can understand. There is a distinct cash flow advantage to being a business seller now. 100%. Yes. Interesting, eBay pay the buyer protection fee. I personally think it's more balanced, but I have empathy for private sellers.
Yeah,
I do.
So do we.
Particularly with the payment on delivery.
Right, so if we go back then, when we come back to Tamara's comment here, I'll scooch to the bottom. So we want to go back to Tamara's comment.
So let's start with buyer protection fee. Let's cover the highlights of what they've actually said. Okay, there's so much waffle. There was 6 pages of this. So where do we start?
Can I know this is the very bottom comment, but Natalie's got a very good point here. I have both business and private accounts. As a business, I'm happy. As private, I will stop selling low value items where there is lots of competition.
Right. Interesting. So most listings are sold by business sellers and will include buyer protection at no additional cost. Nothing changes. When purchasing from UK-based private sellers on ebay.co.uk, buyers will pay a fee, which is already added. As the buyer sees it, it will be added on already, so they don't have to work anything out. The buyer protection fee will be calculated as a flat fee of 75 pence per item. So people in the chat talking about low value items, that's a big percentage of your £4.50 CD, right? Or some low value jewelry or whatever. That's a big chunk, just the 75p, plus 4% of the item price up to £300. And then 2% of any portion of the item price from 300 to 4,000. So that's how they're structuring the buyer facing fee, this protection fee. There's a bit more detail on that. What were the bits I highlighted?
You're doing a Boris. You can't find your...
Oh, my brain just struggles to cope with lots of information. Normally, I like to kind of process it and take it all in. I've literally looked at this for the first time tonight. So that's effectively it, isn't it? So it says here about if you are a business. One of the big things we're getting is a 24/7 support, which apparently is new, and private sellers have access to it now as well.
Right. Oh, okay. Is that for everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
So when will the seller receive payment? This is the other side of it, is delayed payment. Should we touch on that quickly as well?
Yeah.
We can try and go into more of the detail of buyer protection fee, but there's pages and pages of it. So as a private seller now, where does it say? Getting paid. Funds will be made available to spend on eBay or withdraw after the order is considered delivered, which is determined based on the delivery method. For tracked delivery, funds will usually be available 2 calendar days after we receive confirmation from the tracked shipping service that the delivery was successful. So why they've got to wait a further 2 days, I don't understand. Where available, we recommend using eBay postage labels. Well, they would, which include tracking to ensure you receive your funds as soon as possible. For local collection, funds will be available when you exchange the 6-digit code or scan the QR code. So that's fine, that makes sense. If the item includes authenticity guarantees, so if you've got an expensive pair of trainers that you send to the authenticators, once it gets there and it's authenticated, your funds are available. Makes sense. Right. For items sent via GSP, funds will be available after the item is delivered to the UK shipping centre. Perfect, that makes sense. Now, for untracked deliveries, so if you're sending standard second class, large letter or whatever without any tracking, for untracked deliveries, with no delivery confirmation, funds will be available 14 days from the order date, assuming the buyer hasn't opened the case. If the buyer requests a return or has a problem with the order, we'll wait until the issue is resolved before we release seller funds. Makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So that's the big difference now, I think, is, as Ross said, as a business seller, nothing changes. We can access our money as soon as our item's been paid for, even before it's been shipped. You know, we have the money. Whereas with a private seller, you've got to wait for it to get there, wait a further 2 days, as long as Royal Mail have done their job and tracked it. I can see problems instantly with, particularly with Royal Mail, which we have the most experience with. 99% of our stuff goes Royal Mail. They do not scan stuff always.
No, they don't.
And then we're not even going to. No, if you're a private seller, you're not even going to see your money. You know, sometimes if a unscrupulous buyer notices on eBay that tracking isn't updated or there isn't any, they could be sitting there with their item, they say it hasn't turned up, you don't have a leg to stand on. Now, you won't even see your money, regardless if it's not tracked.
Yeah, but we'd end up refunding anyway, so we would end up with no money. So
only if the buyer is unscrupulous. If they've got it but it wasn't tracked,
yeah, exactly,
that's fine.
Yeah, but it's the same thing, isn't it? Because for a business seller, you have to refund.
Yeah, I think you're missing the point I'm making, but anyway.
Oh, okay. Rich Payne says, I would like to see them make it clearer to the buyer that they are buying from a business and therefore not incurring a fee. Something highlighted in the search results, maybe, not just in the listing. Now,
right. Well, what they've put, you may have seen this, Richard, I don't know, and you don't think it's clear enough. They've said, how do I know if I'm buying from a private or business seller? You can find if the item is being sold by a private or business seller from the item page. On the eBay app, you'll see registered as a private seller or registered as a business seller under about the seller. 2 little bits down here. So that is kind of...
You're going to have people laughing at you.
Tucked away what?
Because you're swearing at everybody.
Oh, is it my middle finger? From the website, you'll see private or business next to the seller's username, which sounds better. I'm with Richard on this one. That could, I don't know, you could do something more bold than that, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Don't know.
So what's the difference?
Well, that's showing, I just read.
Oh, registered as a, okay.
But it's different on the website. That's on the app.
Right.
Right.
Right, I'm just going to go back in the chat to find tomorrow's comment. If I can. So
what do we think? Do we have anyone who is selling on a private account? What are your opinions on having to wait those extra steps to receive your money? And are you concerned about the tracking, relying on the couriers to do their part?
Well, tomorrow says, no, the buyer doesn't see the extra fee. They just see the final cost. So if a business seller and a private list the same item at £10, the buyer sees £10 from a business seller and more than £10 from a private seller.
It lumps it together. So if you're scrolling through prices or you order your search by price, the buyer protection fee will be added on. I think that's what you're saying. That's correct as far as I can tell.
Susan thinks they've made it more divisive rather than levelling the playing field.
Yeah, it's making a distinction, a clear distinction now.
Yeah, and I think that's needed. And I think that
that's a difference of opinion, isn't it?
A while back, business sellers were calling for that.
Yeah, still
are. Wanting there to be a distinction, wanting a buyer to come to the platform and say, okay, this is a business seller. Potentially, I feel more comfortable dealing with a business rather than, I know, well, I mean, I'm biased because I am a business seller, but if I'm shopping on eBay, I look for a business seller because I know that I have the protection. I know that I can return it if I need to, etc.
I was reading somewhere, if you buy multiple items off one listing, you only get charged that set fee once as well, which was good to know.
Owen Roberts says, anyone think they should just go back to both private and business sellers paying fees? It's all just a big mess now. Or make it 0 fees for both. Well, 0 fees for both would be great, but I don't think eBay would survive very long if that was the case.
It's an interesting
unless
point.
There was a buyer fee for everybody, you know.
That's where I felt like they were suggesting they were heading, that they're going to do buyer-facing fees across the board. Is this just the first step there? Because we saw last year, didn't we? Free to sell clothing, and then they ramped that up. Free to sell anything if you're a private seller. And this might be step one in rolling out buyer-facing fees, which they're calling this buyer protection. The vintage model, as everyone's kind of referring it. So is this step one in rolling that out across the board? And then it would be much easier to understand and a level playing field that the likes of us have been talking about achieving.
Flipping Maggie says, it's good that they're differentiating the terms between private and business sellers. Yeah.
I think it is. So you've got an informed choice. If, as Andrea said, you might prefer to buy from a business, you might prefer to buy from a private. It's by a choice, isn't it? If that needs to be clearly labelled.
Yeah. Chris Greaves says, what about me? I have a business account, but I'm also selling my personal comic collection that I've spent 40 years collecting on my personal account.
Well, you'll see both sides of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We sell a lot of our personal stuff on eBay. We don't tend to even bother sticking it on a personal. Do we even have a private account now?
No. We
have 2 business accounts. One we don't use. There you go.
Yeah.
We really need to set up a private one for when, for example, when I'm selling off my own records.
I suppose so. Yeah.
At the moment, I put it all through the business and just accept that I'm being charged on it. Yeah.
DVD Fangirl says, do you believe as a business, everything should be business? I still use my private bank account because I don't want something else that I have to pay for. Not in all cases. I don't think that. No, I don't think so in all cases.
Do you believe as a business everything should be business? Not really. No. I don't think you are forced to have a business account if the bank's fine with you using a private account to put your business stuff through.
I don't know if it's the same now, but I remember at one point when we had an office space, and if you're a business, you got charged more for broadband because you were a business. I was just infuriated by that because I thought, why? We're using exactly the same as anyone else. Why are we paying more?
Pete says buyers ain't got the time to muck about finding. They've got to pay more fees to a private seller, so most will just not buy on eBay. Well, the buying experience won't really change, but the fees will be added onto your cost. So as a private seller, the example we have. It's
only, I think, if you're watching 2 items of the same thing or similar thing that you're looking for, and one turns out to be more expensive than the other because of the fees, and then that might inform your decision. Other than that, you're going to look for the item you're looking for, and you're not even going to care whether it's got fees on it or whatever.
Are we going to see the scenario where private sellers kind of reduce their prices to kind of absorb that, so then effectively they're taking the hit of the fee, aren't they? You understand what I'm saying? Whereas we set our price here, but we're paying a fee in the background that doesn't affect the buyer.
Yeah. Derek says, I like the new changes. Hopefully buyers will want to buy from a seller where they won't incur a fee. I'm happy to pay the fees as it means I'm making a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with most of this. My main concern in the updates we've had is having empathy with the private sellers with the delayed payments thing. If I was selling on a private account, which we don't, that would be my annoyance with this. If Royal Mail don't scan it, I don't get paid, potentially. Or I've got to wait 14 days and hope the buyer doesn't go, oh, what item? I haven't got it. Honest governor.
Yeah.
Right, what other detail can we
I'm
find here?
Zooming down, I'm trying to find if anyone's got a comment I can highlight.
If I'm a business seller, what does this mean for me? This was eBay's in eBay's FAQs. As a business seller, buyer protection is added at no extra charge to you or your buyers. As we were saying earlier, it was always there.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, I don't know that they've changed much about it. So there's nothing you need to do to access this protection. With buyer protection, this is the new thing. With buyer protection, all buyers and sellers will get 24/7 customer support where you can connect with, wait for it, a real person. They've said it in black and white. You can connect 24/7 with a real person. They're not saying whether they're in a call center somewhere or where they are. Or, caveat, or start a chat. What, with a chat bot? Anyway, so that's the new
I
bit.
don't know. Has that changed? Because the way I've always done it is I start a chat in the chat bot and then I say, please can I talk to a person? And then they give me a thing that says, ask us to call you back. And I click that and then they call me back within a few minutes.
Was that 24/7?
I don't know. I mean,
I'm
not phoning them at night. So
anyway,
perhaps it wasn't 24/7. But yeah, certainly that process was always the same.
Okay. So they talk about the wallet as well. That was a new thing they're implementing. So for private sellers, funds will be sent to your eBay balance. When the order is considered delivered, you can then use your balance to shop, pay for postage, promote your listings, and pay for other selling costs on ebay.co.uk. Private sellers can also request payouts directly from their balance to a linked account. So eBay are going to hold your funds in the hope that they will use that money within eBay. That's the idea of the wallet. Keep it in the eBay ecosystem. So you have to request to withdraw it otherwise. But for business sellers, nothing changes in that regard. Yeah, it says, for business sellers, nothing will change. You can expect to receive your payouts on your usual schedule. Do we do daily currently? I think we have daily payouts.
Okay, comment from Libby Lou. I'm a private seller, not had any problem with shipping since I started buying postage online via Royal Mail. I'm not bothered about them holding the funds. It's the same as Vinted. And as I'm thinking there might be a part two. Here we are. Selling now and then, and not for a living. It isn't a problem.
Well, hopefully that's going to be the general feeling. If you are a private seller selling bits and bobs here and there, you're not relying on that money being in your wallet instantly. It would be nice, sure. But that's a really interesting comment. I think that's possibly eBay's perspective on this is if you are a private seller just selling bits and bobs around your house, having a clear out, whatever it is, it shouldn't affect you too much. It is different when you're a business and we have bills to pay, we need the turnover to, we need the money as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And we're very focused on looking at our money because it's our income. So that's a big distinction.
Absolutely, yeah. Mike Halliwell says, I'm currently a private seller, but will be moving over to business seller. I was going to do this eventually anyway, but this has accelerated the decision.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, eBay has certainly been implementing things that are forcing people's hand a little bit, shall we say. If you are acting as a business and buying in order to make profit, which is acting as a business, not a private seller, eBay is kind of giving everybody a gentle nudge to switch over. And this, as Mike just pointed out, this is going to aid that.
When does this come into effect? Is it the 4th of February?
Good question.
I feel like it's the 4th of February.
I've got loads of bits of paper with stuff written on.
Yeah. Oh, Susan says,
I'm not sure it says it on here.
I'm not sure what it was in relation to because I'm a bit behind. I agree, Andrea, that the customer should know if they're dealing with a business or a private person, but the implementation of this is a total mess. Yeah.
I'm afraid I don't have the dates on the FAQs, so I don't want to give you the wrong information.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how they could have implemented it better because I don't work at eBay, so I don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but I suppose it's really difficult to unpick something that has, they've been going for, nearly 30 years, and they're trying to unpick things and change things. And whereas like Vinted came along and they had it there from the ground running.
Yeah.
And now things are changing and evolving, and eBay's got to change and evolve with it. So
yeah, it's I've never seen so many changes in a short space of time with eBay.
It's because
Major
the market
changes.
is changing.
Absolutely.
So much.
Yeah. So were there any bits I highlighted? So going back to,
I'm just going to read this. The Liverpool Delta says, I use both and I don't care about these changes. My private account already has 1K in that. I'm waiting for it to automatically pay out. They pay out quarterly unless you ask for the payout.
Mm-hmm. Good. There we go. I mean, that eBay will be glad to hear that. Excellent. There was a bit here that says, what happens if the item is lost in delivery regarding the payouts? And effectively, I don't think anything changes. If your buyer hasn't received their item and the estimated delivery date has passed, they'll let you know there's an issue by opening an item not received request. If a buyer opens a request, we'll send a message with all of the details to your registered email address. Once the request is opened, you have 3 business days to resolve the issue. So nothing changes there. And you have to try and resolve it because you haven't got tracking. You can't resolve it in any other way than refunding.
Yeah, and then why does it take 14 days to receive funds for untracked items?
Yeah. Why does it?
Why does it?
We've learned through historical data that most packages are delivered within this time frame. So it allows enough time for the buyer to receive their item. Yeah. But it goes back to my bugbear with that is that you are relying on the Royal Mail, whoever, to scan it at the point of delivery. And I look at all of my items, all of my orders, and when you scroll through, you can see many that are still outstanding that haven't been tracked, which is a worry.
Yeah. Sorry. Reading comments that I was going to highlight.
What's Derek saying just there? Buyer fees for businesses would never work. Would Argos or Currys be happy to have items on eBay with fees on top for buyers? But if it's the same across the board, why would that matter? It's just absorbed into the overall price that the customer's seeing. Would they really be that worried? So with Vinted, because now we have Vinted Pro, so business sellers are selling on Vinted, and they have the same on there, right? As in buyer-facing fees.
Yes. It's
Yeah.
called a protection. So
Buyer protection.
No. What's it called?
Buyer protection, isn't it? I don't know.
I think it's got something else. It's called something else.
I don't know. It's an interesting question, though, Derek.
Yeah. C. Blaney says, as a very random private seller, I'm put off by it. the holding of the money until delivery, failure in tracking.
Yeah.
I think it opens up more opportunities for dodgy buyers to fleece a seller.
That's kind of what I was saying before, and I'm with you on that one.
Darren says, I'm a private seller on eBay and also on Vinted, so I'm used to waiting for funds once an item is delivered, so not bothered. Yeah, and it's interesting how that really isn't such a problem on Vinted, that the problem that you're worrying about, C. Blaney, in terms of people being dodgy. Is it a culture for eBay, do you think? More so than Vinted? I don't know.
I don't know. It's a good question. I think we were talking about this earlier. When change happens, there's quite often a big furore about it, and then you just get used to what is put in place, and everything dies down and we get used to it. So there may be a bit of that going on with these changes as well.
Yeah, potentially. Anne says, if a buyer can't see that they are paying a fee within the cost, that strikes me as a bit dishonest.
If a buyer can't see the pay. Yeah, I don't know if eBay said how they indicate that to the buyers.
Joe says, maybe eBay will push the private seller goods as they will make more money, sort of self-promoting.
They won't make more money from private sellers because they're taking the fees from business sellers just in a different way. So I don't know the exact numbers, but they'll be making profit on each now. So it won't be in their advantage to do that, I wouldn't have thought. Where do I see the buyer protection fee in my listings? When listing your item, you will see the buyer protection fee amount added to your listing price. You can also view the fee amount from your active listings. So does that mean that the buyer can see that? Here we go. No. How is the buyer protection fee added to my item price? When setting the item price, UK-based private sellers will see the buyer protection fee amount added to the total item price that buyers will see on the listings. Sellers will be able to see the fee amount before completing the listing. Right, so that's the seller. Yeah. Does the buyer see it as a breakdown?
Ian says, correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't there no fees for private and business sellers in countries such as Germany? I have heard that.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
That's why I've always thought that's where we're heading to. Did they go the whole shebang in Germany?
I think they did. I don't know for sure, but I have heard that.
It sounds like something I've been told.
Yeah.
Oh, what will happen to my existing listings? That's interesting. So for UK-based private sellers, the buyer protection fee will immediately be added to all existing buy it now listings. So immediately, 4th of Feb. Did you say 4th of Feb earlier?
Yes, I did.
There's a date here. The fee will be added to auction and buy it now listings created on or after 4th of Feb. Okay, so that's when it's going to kick off. How is the fee calculated for auctions? So it's going to be on like a sliding scale as it goes up.
Yeah, that's interesting.
When you enter a starting bid, the buyer protection fee is added so you can see what the buyer's minimum bid amount will be. What? As the buyer protection fee is variable, the fee amount that the buyer actually pays is calculated as part of the final auction selling price. Whoa, that sounds confusing. What? I buy a fair bit from private sellers actually when I'm collecting vinyl. So that will be an interesting experience. And I often buy an auction because I get cheap stuff that way quite often. So I'll be interested to see how that experience looks from a buyer's point of view. So there you go. There are other changes. I'll try and remember to link to these pages where they have all of the FAQs about the changes that are coming in the next month or so. I'll link that below. So if you're watching after the event, you can click through and read. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of information to go through. A lot of it doesn't directly apply to us as business sellers, but a lot of people that follow us, a lot of people that follow the channel are private sellers, and it kind of has a knock-on effect because we're all in the same ecosystem of this eBay world, right? So it is relevant to us all. So I recommend going across and having a read the bits that are relevant to you or not.
Antoinette says, as a business seller, I object to the exorbitant fees, lack of support from eBay when I have a problem, the number of item specifics for listing. The update is cynical as far as I'm concerned.
Well, there you go. Interesting. Well, this 24/7 being able to speak to a person, like you said, that's nothing new, according to.
Well, I don't know. It might not have been 24/7, but in terms of speaking to a person, yeah.
Well, it's hard for us not to agree with you on level of customer service. We've had some shocking experiences with eBay, and we have been promised by many different people at eBay over the last few years that they are working long and hard to solve that. I'm not sure the experience has greatly changed yet. We are hopefully we're not due another problem to solve with eBay, but until we do, we don't know how much they've improved their levels of customer service.
It's Tony and Jill saying buyers pay the fee on business sellers because we take that fee into account when we list. If fees were less, my items would be cheaper.
Right.
Yeah, true.
That's what I was saying about, will we see a scenario where private sellers are having to reduce their prices to accommodate the fee? I don't know.
A few questions on what we've just read out. I'm not highlighting because I don't know the answers to them, to be honest with you.
See, Phil makes a good point there. As a business seller with a low value business model, the changes suit me well. Yes, because it might make it difficult for private sellers to sell those low value items at the same price, because they're going to have 75p plus, what did I say, 4% added on top.
Yeah, Russell Spark says, I'm a private seller selling my camera collection. Now I will only send first class and signed for.
Yeah, the tracking is going to be key, isn't it now?
Yeah. Stockport Rocker says, getting confused as a private seller, is it best to send everything recorded delivery?
Well, there are other tracked services.
Yeah, I mean,
small parcel is tracked.
48 is
tracked, 48 is always tracked, yeah. But our small parcel and medium parcels are all tracked.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was going to say, I agree with Benny. If people think this is not going to change again, I think you'll be in for a shock. Yeah, this is steps to get to where eBay want to be. And we've had the thought for a while that eBay is trying to get to the vintage model across the board, but we haven't had that confirmed. I don't know.
Yeah. Sorry, just read lots and lots of chat.
Sorry, I was just trying to read one. Sorry, I'm trying to.
People's, people answering each other in the chat. So I'm just trying to find comments that we can read out. I'll read out Cy on the Moor saying, I'm just about to start selling probate items I have to deal with. I think I should create a separate private account, ? I am a little concerned that more people might say they did not get the item. I don't know. I don't know what the...
Send tracked. I mean, send tracked.
Definitely send tracked, whatever you do. I mean, I would recommend that full stop in this day and age.
Which is another problem for the low value items business model. If you're sending small, low value items, just doing it second class large letter, if it's an untracked service, kind of isn't viable anymore. unless you find with your business, whatever your business is, that you don't get many item not received cases. We've had a few recently, haven't we? I've not seen an upturn in that recently. Most of our stuff is tracked.
It's an interesting question from Tracy. Do you think buyers might be turned off from eBay shopping as they might not understand the difference between a business or private seller?
Well, the buying experience isn't really going to change. It's just that private listings will have that fee added onto the cost. So when you're just scrolling through, you'll just see the item picture and the cost.
If you're a general buyer on eBay and you get an email in your inbox and it's telling you about private sellers and business sellers, you think, what are private sellers? I don't.
Maybe.
You might be confused about that, but
yeah. Well, the eBay don't really distinguish on all the adverts I see every day at the moment saying free to sell on eBay. You know those adverts where they go ding ding ding, ding, and then they put a little box around it and they go, oh, I'm going to sell this lamp because it's free to sell. And then they just end with eBay, free to sell on eBay. Yeah. They're not distinguishing or highlighting the fact that not if you're a business. They're not making it clear at that point.
Yeah, sorry, still trying to find comments to read out.
Mike says, I contacted eBay about switching over to business a few months ago. They told me not to.
Oh.
Was very surprised about that. Well, I'd be surprised about that if you are buying items to resell, because they made a bit of a song and dance about exactly that a few months ago.
Yeah.
Well,
so Chris has pointed out with this, we haven't touched on this yet.
Oh,
the big thing for my private account is no more promotions, etc. I usually use a 3 for 2 offer, but no more. And yes, this is again leveling up for business sellers because they see that a lot of people use private accounts to run a business. If you're just selling your own stuff, then you're not going to want to use promotions, is the way that eBay see it, I think.
You might do.
You might do, but I'm just saying that's the way I think eBay are seeing it. And therefore, in order to, sweeten things for business sellers, because they know they've taken a lot away from businesses in terms of, giving free fees to private sellers, etc., and not giving a lot to business sellers. And plus, there used to be so many this amount of free listings for private sellers and this and that for the private sellers, and business sellers would constantly be saying, but what about us? We'd like something. So now they're saying promotions, coupons, sales, all of that's only for a business account. And I think that's fair enough. Personally,
well, I think
it's a good thing.
I thought it was simply, it's now free to sell if you're a private seller. So you get that huge bonus.
Huge bonus.
But we're just removing some of the fancy tools that you had. So now, in order to gain access to those, if you're going to be a bigger seller or sell lots of stuff and act as a business,
then you would need a business account in order to do that.
That I saw as a blatant kind of trying to level it up a bit. With one hand giving private sellers all free to sell, and with the other hand going, take these bits away, right? Which depends on your viewpoint as to whether that's a good or a bad thing or indifferent. But
yeah, and I'm biased because we'll have a business account, so I'm biased on that.
So is it? So it's coupons that have gone if you're private.
Yeah, coupons and promotions.
And promotions.
I'm not sure if you
promoted
can
listings
anymore.
You can use promoted listings though.
I don't know.
I bet you can, because eBay benefits from that.
Probably, get more money.
The cynic in me coming out. Yeah, I'm not sure what exactly benefits have gone, but I'm sure I heard coupons and, like you said, promotions. Well, 3 for 2 offers are going.
Yeah,
certainly. Says Chris.
Postage says, can we all just take a moment to remember how much fun it used to be, and to look where we all are now is depressing for most. It doesn't have to be. You know, you could change the way you look at it, and you know, everything is the way your experience of things is the way that you look at things.
That's a good sentence.
No, I couldn't actually make a sentence out of that. But you know what I mean?
Did you turn into Yoda then?
Yeah, I did. I was trying to make it make sense, and I wasn't managing it. But you know what I mean? Everything depends on your perspective.
Yeah. No, I kind of agree with you. I still, well, let's talk about that for a minute. I still love what I do. And whenever we get these updates, and there's a lot of hoo-ha and people get frustrated or annoyed because change is sometimes difficult to absorb and be positive about. But usually I go in my shed on a Monday and nothing's changed, and weeks down the line, nothing's changed. And it's like, and I just need to focus on what I do well, and that is buy stuff and sell stuff. And all of this noise around us usually doesn't impact us greatly. I do think some of these changes are quite big in the kind of eBay world, but
yeah,
I don't think it will change us.
In the 23 years that we've been doing this, there have been many, many, many changes. And you just ride it, really. You'd ride it like a roller coaster. And yeah. And sometimes it's not so great, sometimes it is, but at the end of the day, I'm just grateful that we're doing what we do, and that we we don't have a boss, we're running our own business. And
it's been interesting tonight to sit that there's the usual very wide spectrum of people being very frustrated and annoyed by this. I think it was Antoinette that was frustrated by these changes. Other people saying, I'm a private seller, I'm quite happy with this, I'm happy to wait for my money, not bothered about the tracking scenarios. So as always, as you rightly pointed out, it's your perspective on this, isn't it? And how you take it. Being business owners on a business account, most of this isn't going to affect us. If anything, it is positive, I think, for us. But we'll see. I've seen a couple of other videos. I saw That's Flipping Retro. I started to watch that earlier. You were talking about these exact changes. I think Ricky's put a video out talking about the eBay changes. So I'll be interested to see other people's opinions on this one. A lot of chat, and I'm just scooching down to the bottom, really, because it's already 9 o'clock. Sorry, we've missed a lot of chat. There's a lot of people going, but what about, and what about, and what about? No, honestly, I can't answer that because I'm not eBay. All we can talk about is what we have in writing. Oh, there's loads of interesting comments. Sorry, we were miles away chatting in our own little world. Yeah, well, I'm just, look, I mean, there we are. We're at the bottom now. Right. Sorry, we missed a lot of your comments. I'm sure you had lots to say. Wow. Yes, we will see more low-cost items being bundled together, I think. That's been happening, certainly within the way I do things, for a while because of the increased price and postage costs. Yeah. It's made it less and less viable to sell cheap, small items. It doesn't make any sense anymore. So I do a lot less of it because it's just not worth the hassle. I think what we all have to remember as well is that eBay is not our boss. We all run our own individual businesses, and we all have our own autonomy. And within their framework, though. Yes, if we choose to use them. It's always a choice. It's always a choice. Because they're running a business as much as we're running a business. And so they have to make the decisions in order to keep their business going. And maybe they don't always make the right ones, and maybe they don't always do it the right way. Nobody's perfect. Well, here's the thing, that they can't make the right decision for every single viewpoint and business on or private seller on their platform. That's the key.
It's like politics, isn't it? You can't please everybody because everybody has different politics.
Yeah.
So, you can't please everybody all of the time.
But you are, to the point that you said, we choose to sell on there and we can walk if it's not right for us. One of the big things we want to do this year is try Vinted in a serious way. So that's coming up for us. And then we can have a very balanced opinion on how both of those models work. I don't know when. We've got an awful lot to do in the short term, but I'm looking forward to that. I was chatting with Derek as well about maybe doing another listing challenge. So we'll maybe get that up and running in the next couple of weeks. We both have a ridiculous amount of stock to list and sell. That's the day job. That's what we're going to get back to in the next few weeks. So hopefully you'll see that. You've got a little charity shop video coming out tomorrow.
I'm going to put it up tomorrow.
But yes, anyway, thank you for listening to our waffle. Changes, as somebody rightfully put. If you think things aren't going to change again, it will. Watch this space.
Here we are. What's Tina saying here? It will all be okay. It's just adapting to the changes. Hopefully, business sellers will see their sales boosted a little, which is fair. Can we leave that as our word of wisdom for this week?
We didn't even ask for any.
No, we didn't.
We'd better let people drop them in if they've been waiting.
I think that's a very good words of wisdom. But I've just seen that Phil has also popped in. Change is inevitable. Growth is optional.
I like it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Good to see you, George, by the way. And yes, I'm looking forward to meeting you in person, George, and sharing a drink. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Something like that. Fish Guy says, you always know if someone's saying they are going to take a penny, that they will take a pound. There's no such thing as a free meal. You don't get much for free in this life. That's another saying, isn't it?
Ian says, do something you really like and hopefully it pays the rent. As far as I'm concerned, that's success.
Yes, I love that.
That's Tom Petty said.
I know, I love that. That's so good.
Rest in peace, Tom Petty. Big up Luke Littler. Oh, he's the darts guy, isn't he? Is he in the world final again or something? Because I
don't follow it. I hear it on the news every now and then.
I heard on the radio that he's the young 17-year-old or something. He didn't win it last time, but he came close, and he's got a chance of breaking all these records and stuff. Yeah. Best of luck to him.
Oh, Ross has got a Tolkien one. Tolkien's thoughts on eBay changes. The world has changed. I see it in the water. I feel it in the earth. I smell it in the air. Much that once was is lost. For none now live who remember it.
Wow, that's deep.
It's really deep.
Yeah. Lost in translation when you read it, though.
Will says the secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old but building the new. Yes, love that. That's really good. Susan says don't go to jumble sales if you're on a buying ban.
Don't listen to her.
I said to Nick, well, better not go to the jumble sale because I'm not supposed to be buying.
But
here's my enabler.
We'll go. You're just not allowed to buy anything. There.
Tony and Jill said change is the only constant in life.
Yes, I like that, Tony or Jill or both.
Stu says chopsticks are the main reason the Chinese didn't invent custard.
Makes sense.
Steve says change is inevitable, except from vending machines. How was your hangover after New Year's Eve? It wasn't too bad, actually. We're on dry January, potentially extended.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
we're not drinking at the moment.
No.
Just woohoo, says Darren.
Thanks, Darren. Like it.
Porky says, don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds you plant.
Yes, we need to take that on board for this year. Get down to what we need to be doing, which is sorting and listing stock.
Keep on listing.
It's
Jessica says, every cloud has a silver lining. All of these eBay changes give you pages and pages of fire kindling.
Yeah, I do have a pile of paper I don't know what to do with now.
Oh, he won.
Oh, he's won it already.
Yes.
Excellent. Well done, him.
Blaney says, life is a roller coaster. You just got to ride it.
Ronan.
Pianist Louise says, don't stress about the eBay changes. Look for the positives. Absolutely.
As we said, yeah, it's all on your perspective, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. And Steve says, yes, it's overwhelming. What else could we do? Get jobs in offices and wake up for the morning commute. Doesn't sound like fun to me.
Remind yourselves why you do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's Flipping Retro. So if eBay fails, you always have your rap career. Andrea. Oh dear.
We better get listing then. What was this on quickly? Hi, adventures around the world. I think something that's been missed here is that these eBay changes coming through standard first and second class non-tracked postage has effectively been made redundant. We can still use it, but there is perhaps more of an element of risk for private sellers, definitely now.
Tomorrow says, I'll be 60 on Tuesday, as to lunch on me. Yay! Congratulations on being 60 and happy birthday tomorrow.
Yeah. Right. Looking
Chris
forward
G
to
says,
Feb 22nd.
Yes. Oh, that's Cheryl, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I keep forgetting you've changed your
And
name.
Chris G says, I'm not drinking at the moment either. Just finished my pint now. Got to go to bed.
Well, we'll pick a wow in a minute.
Yeah.
We're mentioning that date there, Feb 22nd. 11th? 22nd. There will be a reseller meetup in Hitchin, where we used to live, on Feb 22nd. Completely open to anybody, completely free to attend. We will all meet in a great big Wetherspoons and hang out and chat. You can chat anything. You can chat about eBay if you want to, or just treat it as a late Christmas party, which is what we're going to do. But yeah, honestly, if you want to come up and talk about eBay, we'll happily talk about eBay too, but it doesn't have to be all about work. We'll be in the pub all day. There may be, for those that want to carry on partying, a bit of a late excursion around the town after that when we get chucked out. That's always quite fun. Yeah, if you want to come along, please do. If you are thinking about it, book soon. A lot of people are attending this year. There's not a lot of hotels to go around, so yeah, go for it.
A couple more. Stu says there's a big difference between I'm giving up drinking alcohol for a month and I'm giving up drinking alcohol for a month. That's very true.
Punctuation is key. I used to
buy, list, sell, repeat. Exactly.
Yeah, our job is pretty simple, but sometimes we drop the ball with the listing bit.
All things are difficult before they're easy.
Yes, I like that. It feels good at this.
Tracy says eBay always wins.
Well, we need them to. They need to make some money, otherwise they go away.
Yeah, and then we have no platform to sell on. Perfect or imperfect. Tina says, please give Jeff a hug from me. I lost my little fur ball before Christmas suddenly and unexpectedly.
No.
So sorry, Tina.
I can't even express to you how, I empathise so much.
I wish that we could bring Jeff to you for a big cuddle, big hug, cuddle.
Right. Did you want to leave on a particular one then? It's up to you this week.
Oh, I don't know. There's been a few good ones, hasn't there?
Is Nick Vicky Pollard? What's Susan on about?
I don't know. Right, okay. Let me see if I can find one that really stood out.
Change is the only constant.
Oh, I like this one from Will, actually.
Okay.
The secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new.
Well, there you go. We will be back next week, I can only presume, on the Sunday.
I think so.
We are gently easing ourselves back into work, back into YouTube, back into the kind of cycle of things. We haven't talked to anybody about getting a guest on, so it might just be us rambling with you lot again next week. Yeah, we'll leave it there. I will try and get a video out perhaps tomorrow. I don't have masses of stock going out, but I could do it. Oh, had an annoying return. I could talk about that in a video.
Yeah, that was annoying.
But thank you so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure. We'll be back next week.
Yes, all right. Well, have a good week, everyone.
Ta-ra. Yes. See you next time. Where's the big red button? There it is.
Well, good work.